Back in the 60s and 70s, the idea was you go to work and then you'd get a pension. So like my grandfather retired from GM and he had a pension. And that is the company paying an employee that no longer works and provides value to the company. Well, obviously that's not sustainable. So then they came out with this idea of the 401k, which is named after a section in the tax code, which allows you to postpone income tax, not deduct, postpone your income tax to a later date. And then the employer can match. So if you put money in, then the employer will match the contribution, which can be a nice benefit. And the guy who is like touted as the king of the 401k, who really brought it to light, he just acknowledged that part of the tax code to make sales. And he has said, he's quoted as saying, "I never intended it to be so big as what it's become. You should not just have the 401k as your sole source of income in retirement." Access to money is so important because the people that don't have options are the ones that get in trouble with high interest rates, bad debt, and just having access to capital is so overlooked because at that time you're new in the medical profession, and if you've never met a doctor, they're not short of an opinion, and they know confidence or ego is usually around when you talk to these physicians, and then they're told to put money into these retirement plans. So your friends were telling you to put money into retirement at that time, because I remember those conversations with you and I. It's like, great, I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying not yet. Before we ever get good at money, we got to spend it first. You know, you got to get good at spending it. Yeah, and so you were one of my first clients back in 2012 when I first left architecture, left the garage business, the sales, and wanted to teach people how money works without losing money to the four institutions: banks, Wall Street, financial advisors, and the IRS. And it's been a long journey for both of us, but it's been cool to watch your success by investing in yourself. So let's talk about that. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Cash Flow Conversations. Today I have one of my oldest friends on. Jay, how long? I've known you since like 1999, right?
Yes.
Jae Green, it's good to have you here. What's your job title at the hospital?
I work in orthopedic surgery. I'm one of the physician assistants, so I pretty much help all the surgeons try to get stuff done more efficiently.
Cool. So Jay is a different kind of guest on the show because he's not technically an entrepreneur. You earn a W-2, but you've had the entrepreneurial itch for the last few years, and you ended up getting involved in real estate investing. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Leveraging other people's money for real estate to create cash flow, how to set yourself up with a life insurance policy that allows you to liquidate that and use it for your investing. But yeah, dude, it's welcome. It's great to have you here, dude. I've known you for 25 years. It just blows my mind. That's more than half my life, bro.
Yeah, it's been a long time. There's lots of background.
Remember when you blew your knee out wakeboarding on my boat back in high school?
Yep. Coach wasn't happy about that one.
Coach was not happy about that. No, but we were doing flips before most people were, so that was pretty fun.
Yep.
Back rolls, tantrums, switch rolls. Yeah. Boom. Do one more, Jay. Do one more, and then blows his knee out. We had to unscrew the boot off your foot. Do you remember that, dude?
Oh yeah. I think there's some pictures floating around of everyone kind of pointing and laughing. Yeah, maybe one person realized I was actually injured.
Why is he holding on to his knee like that? Swim to the boat, would you? Oh, that's funny. So long ago. Lifetime. Now we have kids. We're married. Houses. It's crazy, man.
And can't wakeboard anymore because my knee sucks. Weird.
Can't. So now you just surf and drink beer in the boat?
Yep.
Well, it's good to chat, dude. We were talking a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, man, well, let's just answer some of these questions and go over your journey on the podcast, because there's so many people out there that have that entrepreneurial itch and they just don't know exactly where to start. You know, that first step is always the hardest. So I thought your story would be a good one for people to hear. So you went to school at Western, and then you went back to school for the PA stuff, right? Right.
That's a 2-year master's degree.
2-year master's and physician's assistant working out of in Michigan. And physician's assistant, you did what I tell people all the time, man. You got to fix your income first. Investments aren't going to make you rich, and the first thing you got to do is fix the income. So you did that. All your friends were making, 40, 50,000, and boom, you got out of college. What were you making?
Oh, like 90.
Yeah, so really good. I remember we would have wakeboard tournaments down in Grand Rapids, and you wouldn't even come hang out with me because you had to study.
Yeah. A lot of people thought I just kind of dropped him as friends and as people in general.
But the cool part of the next year, you came out and bought a boat.
Yeah.
Before we ever get good at money, we got to spend it first. You got to get good at spending it.
Yeah. You got to make the mistakes.
Yeah. And so you were one of my first clients back in 2012. When I first left architecture, left the garage business, the sales, and wanted to teach people how money works without losing money to the four institutions: banks, Wall Street, financial advisors, and the IRS. And it's been a long journey for both of us, but it's been cool to watch your success by investing in yourself. So let's talk about that. So after school, you get a job as a physician's assistant,
Yep.
renting a house or renting a condo, I believe.
Yep.
Yep. And then around 2016, 2017, you started getting the itch for real estate, I think, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We just, me and my now wife, girlfriend at the time, we just I could kind of see it coming that I was getting probably close to capping out or topping out on the base salary for my position fairly quick, and we knew that we were probably just going to need more income because we planned on having a family.
Yeah.
And like everyone else, I think we start jumping online. How to make more money, and
this is before
and
Bitcoin was taken off.
Right. And real estate comes up, and as I was reading, and I kind of read into that a little bit more, seemed legit. Got myself one of the books just to kind of get a more in-depth view on it. Started reading that, and a lot of the concepts started aligning with what you had been talking about years ago. And I was like, oh my God, that, like, the numbers seem to make sense. And with me being in the medical field, we want to mitigate our risk as much as possible. And, just everything that you were talking about as far as like compounding, the just compounding interest and equity and all, it all just started to line up. So it started to make sense. So we had a house that was probably too big for us at the time, no doubt. And
probably, what was it, 7 bedrooms in that place?
and we just started fixing it up. We kind of figured out we did research on what was going to bring the most value per dollar per renovation, and we fixed the house up. And I think we initially bought it for like 195, back when, of course, we all thought the market was starting to take off.
You bought that big house for 195?
Yeah.
What's that worth today?
I think it's worth like 350, 375 now.
Wow. Crazy.
Yeah.
So you started fixing it up with the idea of selling it?
Yep. With the idea of selling it, because we knew that we were just it just felt like we were losing money every month trying to take care of all the property, and then trying to, it was kind of an older house, so it always needed some sort of repairs.
Yeah.
But when we got all the repairs or all of our reno done, we were able to sell it in 2019. Summer 2019, we sold it for I think like 250.
Nice. So you walked away with some cash.
Right. And we probably only put about 15 grand into it. And that was when we first started seeing the meaningfulness of the whole life insurance, because that's how we used that money to rehab the house. And then once we sold the house, we just paid back the whole life insurance and just kind of kept rolling from there.
Beautiful. So let's spend a second on that. You started a policy with me in 12. And so what year is this when you were renovating the house, you think?
We probably started around 2016, 2017.
So you got equity inside your policy, and you leveraged it. So you called the insurance company and said, hey, I want to pull out 15,000. We're going to fix up the house. And then you exit the house, make a bunch of money, put the money back in the policy.
Yeah, which I do have to say, which was amazing. That one small thing that you just glazed over, just being able to call those guys up and say, yeah, can I get a check for 15 grand? They're like, yeah, sure. Where do you want to go?
Really? Isn't that great? That's the only question. How do you want that? You want a direct deposit, or should we mail it to you?
Yeah, it should be there in about 5 to 7 business days. Really? Okay. All right. So
I always tell people, go ahead.
So I just want to say it like just that little part right there just kind of blew my mind. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a real thing. And then about it's about a year later after we got all the renovation done, we put it on the market, and it took a little bit to sell, but when
Yeah.
it finally did, we're like, oh my gosh, this is how it works. This is how real estate works. This is how using other people's money works. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is, we just kind of have to keep taking steps forward and kind of keep making the money work for us, so to speak, is what everyone says.
Yeah. Access to money is so important, because the people that don't have options are the ones that get in trouble with high interest rates or bad debt. And just having access to capital is so overlooked, because at that time, you're new in the medical profession. And if you've ever met a doctor, they're not short of an opinion. And they know, confidence or ego is usually around when you talk to these physicians. And then they're told to put money into these retirement plans. So your friends were telling you to put money into retirement at that time, because I remember those conversations with you and I. It's like, great. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying not yet. And by starting the policy, because you couldn't have used the retirement stuff, the 403B through work to flip your house, to help improve on the
Oh,
house.
well, taking it back a little bit further, I don't know if you remember, but when we bought that house, because we came from Petoskey down to Kalamazoo, I actually used some of the old 403B from Petoskey. I withdrew that, and there was, I don't know, there was maybe like 20 grand, and I think I only, after taxes, after everyone dipped their hands in there, I think I only had like $11,000 to use. Like, what the heck just happened here?
Yeah.
So that's how the traditional retirement works. Like, if you start taking it out at before you're supposed to, everyone starts dipping their hands in it, and you get penalized. And
Yeah, I mean, even after retirement, the joke in the retirement space is when you take money out of a 401k or an IRA, you're paid sixth. The federal income tax hits. You might have a state income tax. Your Medicare costs go up. Your Social Security becomes taxable. By the way, your advisor is going to get paid, and finally, you can spend whatever's left over.
Right.
And so when people say, "Oh, you get a better rate of return in the market, I'm going to maximize my retirement," you'll have 2, 3, 4, 5 million in the account. It's not yours. If you want proof, pull it out. Go use it. Bring it to the office. You're going to owe all sorts of tax on that.
Right. I think one of your prior guests, I forgot who it was. I think you guys were talking about how the retirement plan product was never really meant to be a reliable single source of income after one retires. It was just meant to like be a supplemental source, right?
Yeah. So the industry, the country went through a change. So back in the 60s and 70s, the idea was you'd go to work and then you'd get a pension. So like my grandfather retired from GM and he had a pension. And that is the company paying an employee that no longer works and provides value to the company. Well, obviously that's not sustainable. So then they came out with this idea of the 401k, which is named after a section in the tax code, which allows you to postpone income tax, not deduct, postpone your income tax to a later date. And then the employer can match. So if you put money in, then the employer will match the contribution, which can be a nice benefit. And the guy who is like touted as the king of the 401k, who really brought it to light, he just acknowledged that part of the tax code to make sales. And he has said, he's quoted as saying, "I never intended it to be so big as what it's become." And it does not, you should not just have the 401k as your sole source of income in retirement. Right. And it was a way for the companies then to transfer the risk and the responsibility of getting a rate of return on that money and paying the employee when they're not working. So they said, look, the employee is going to be responsible for that. We're no longer going to do pensions. Oh, but we'll give you a match. And not many people understand how the distributions work on that stuff. So yeah, it changed the whole retirement space. I joke that a lot of financial planners are just in sales. They're just selling widgets. You want to retire? Here's a retirement account. You don't want to pay tax? Okay, here's a Roth, but you got to check these boxes before you get it. You want to send your kids to college? Here's a 529 plan. And they just make widgets. At the end of the day, you don't need a retirement account to retire. You need money. And how you design that income will determine how much you actually keep, like you said, with all those taxes and costs and market volatility and fees and stuff like that. So the idea of, you got to have a bunch of money in retirement, you better have a lot if you're going to have to pay all those taxes. But if you can get rid of those costs, now less money can go farther. So it's just understanding how to set that up. So for the cool part for you, you start this policy when you're young, healthy, getting cash value. You experience the distribution of the 401 and pay the tax and penalties to go buy the house, because that's life. You want to go buy the house, and then you use the policy with a phone call to go fix it up, and then you liquidate and make $30,000-$40,000 at the sale.
All right.
Beautiful, man. So the policy became a tool for you to use rather than one-stop shop, like a retirement account's for retirement. Well, you're
Right.
30 years old. Retirement's not anytime soon. What's that?
It's instead of something to look forward to later, it's something I can use now to just kind of, like I said, keep taking steps forward and keep trying to make my dollar work for me while I'm sleeping, and while I'm at work, I can still make money doing other stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And now you have a family, so the death benefit's super important.
Right.
And we checked all those boxes. We got you covered when you were younger and healthy for a great cost, and now you can use that asset over and over again. So talk to me. You sell that house, and did you immediately get into a duplex where you lived on one side?
No, so after we sold that house, we actually, before that house sold, we put a down payment on a small single family house, the house that we're currently in. Behind me, you can see the basement area that we've actually redone and finished.
Cool.
So we're in this small single family home that we did our analysis on, and of course, this is back when the interest rates are still like sub 3%. So
Crazy.
we got this house for, I think, $92,000, and so our mortgage is like $300 some dollars. And
Yeah.
so and it was only a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and we saw that we could add the entire basement legally. And so now we turn this 2-bed, 1-bath house into a 3-bed, 2-bath house. And now we can rent this house out once we can finally find something on the market nowadays. But we can finally rent this house out for like at least $1,400-$1,500 a month.
Wow. So is that the plan? You're going to get out of that when you find a new place?
Yeah, we've been, we were about to start renovation conveniently right when we were told we had to stay at home in 2020 and we couldn't go anywhere. So we didn't get contractors in to even look at our stuff until like the end of 2020. And then renovation didn't start until spring 2021.
Wow.
And so everything we tried to do with this house, because we only planned to be here for like a year and a half, but now we're going on 4 years now, just because it took so long. And then inflation, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Home sales skyrocket. So here we are still.
And then what did you do with that place up north? Didn't you have something up north?
Yeah. So right when we were told that we couldn't go anywhere, me, Jimmy, and a couple other people were talking about just trying to buy a vacation rental. And so, when you've got a whole bunch of guys that are bored, can't do any work, and so we just jump on the computer and start looking at houses. We found one, and we went in on that with Jimmy and his wife. So that was the one up on Crooked Lake.
Yeah.
So we got that one, and we knew that Petoskey was a good destination place summer and winter time. So we got that. We really didn't have to do much to that house, because once we got it, we just put beds and all that stuff in there and decorated it. And I think we acquired it maybe in August, and we had October filled out for rentals.
Wow.
So the whole time we had that for maybe about a year and a half. But the whole time we had that, we didn't pay a single mortgage payment. We didn't pay any property taxes, just because all the short-term rental money was paying for all that. And then
what a great time to be in that market.
Right. And then we got out right at the perfect time when interest rates were low, and the price and people were paying like 20-30% over asking. So we we got in on that one at like, I think 210,000, and then we ended up selling it for 306.
Wow, that's a nice profit.
Yeah. So that, and we didn't really have to put much of our own money into that, because we took the profits that we still had from the sale of our Richland house, and we put 50% of all the costs, because we split it with our partners. We put all of that into the new house for the down payment and all the furniture and whatnot. So we didn't use any of our own money there. So we just kind of kept, we were trying to learn the game of real estate at that point, and so we've learned new things each and every step.
Yeah. So you captured a couple of years worth of cash flow by selling it when you did.
Right.
And so with the property that you have now, you have a loan on the policy. You were talking to me about this. Rental properties, real estate isn't very passive sometimes. Sometimes it's fairly
Right.
active income, not just passive. And so you're telling me that one of the house that you're in needed a little bit of work, and the policy allowed you to do that, right?
Yeah. So we've still kind of minimized the amount of our own money that has gone into our investments, because the sale from the short-term rental allowed us to buy the duplex that we have down here, because we knew we didn't want to do a short-term rental at that time, because I kind of didn't. It was a lot more active, like you said, than passive.
Yeah.
So we got into that duplex, and we learned with this, our first duplex, we learned about inherited tenants, and we're learning about Section 8. So we inherited 2 tenants in the duplex, and they had unfortunately the stereotypical history of not paying and just kind of screwing up the house. But I will say not all Section 8 tenants are bad. You just have to do your screening and find the right ones.
Yeah.
But once we got the inherited tenants out, we had to kind of revamp the entire property. There was an old HVAC system in there that was about to go, and it finally went when they finally got out of there. So that was a big cost. But with the life insurance, we were able to, again, I just made a phone call, and we just and we got all of it fixed, no problem. And now the property's fully rented out. It's optimized. It's renting for market rates.
Wow.
And it's making us about $900 a month. So
wow, beautiful, man. And that, where are you putting that cash flow? Is that going back into the policy?
Yep. That cash flow goes into a bank account, and then I think just before my life insurance policy renewal, we're gonna dump as much as we can back into paying back some of that loan.
Cool. Very cool, man. You're using it exactly how it's supposed to be set up. You're taking care of the family with a death benefit. You got guaranteed growth inside the policy, tax free, and you pull it right back out to go invest into stuff that'll pay you before retirement age. Now, the $900 that comes to you, you have a CPA that you're working with?
Yes.
So a lot of people talk about, rental income is tax free, and it's not. It's taxable as ordinary income, but you get depreciation and deductions for owning the property, right? So it's essentially kind of tax free for you, isn't it?
Right. We've got a whole group that we follow a lot of the Bigger Pockets stuff online, because we're members there, and we use one of the larger CPA groups that they recommend, and they've been working out fairly well for us. So
beautiful, man. And if you ever want to know how to avoid taxes, look at what the IRS incentivizes. And the IRS wants citizens to create housing for people, and they incentivize you to do that, and through tax breaks. So when you get the leftists that yell, tax the rich, they're just taxing the ordinary income. They're taxing themselves, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool, man. So you got the policy work, and you got the cash flow paying back the policy. What's in the future? When do you plan on getting out of this house?
The house that I'm in right now.
Yeah.
We are, so with the housing prices still being a little high, and the interest rates being higher than I'd like them to be, although I think they're planning on coming down here in, I think, March. They're planning on making the first cut.
Yep.
Um, we had to pivot a little bit with our plan because we were initially trying to find just a single family home for ourselves, but now we're starting to look for um, uh, a multifamily property that's on more than 1 acre of property, and then so we can buy it and we can move into one of the units, fix it up real quick, hopefully you using the whole life insurance,
Yeah.
and then we're going to split the property and think about building something a little bigger than what we're in right now on the other part of the property, and then just kind of partitioning it off with a fence or something.
Cool.
That way we can have the actual the rentable units paying for our mortgage, and then we can put more money to building our a house.
Yeah.
So
I love it. You're getting other people to pay for your lifestyle.
it's fun. It's fun, but we're also trying to give these people a nice place to live because we've got a good handyman. He does good work. We're trying to make sure we're justifying the market rent that we're asking for.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I love watching what you've created, man. When you get out of college, you bought that 9-bedroom home that was incredibly large. You buy a boat. We love life. And then as you get a little older, it's like, all right, what else can I do here? And kudos to you, man. You bought that policy right out of college, I believe. Like you were pretty young when you bought that. Do you regret it ever? Or do you think it was a good decision?
oh, absolutely. I think it was just all part of the stepping stones to better educating myself on how money works and how I can kind of prepare and just kind of make sure that I can leave something behind for the family, and hopefully something that my kids can enjoy, and so on and so on. So we're actually trying to set up and get things organized to start like a trust or some sort of a family estate. We're trying to get in contact with people to kind of help us get better educated on that, because I think that's our next step.
Did you talk to my friend? Did I tell you about
Yeah, I did. I talked to Tom on unfortunately, I think I may have screwed the pooch on that one, because my car got on the same day that I was supposed to meet with him. My car got hit in the parking garage that we were at.
Oh no!
So I'm on the phone dealing with a whole bunch of insurance stuff now, and I actually missed his phone call that I gave him the time for. So now I emailed him the next day and apologized, because I was sitting there the whole day like, I know I'm missing something here. I forgot to do something. And then I realized, I'm like, crap, I forgot to call Tom.
Yeah, he's a good
And
dude.
so-
He's cool though. Like, he understands all that. He's got kids. He's a cool dude. Just reach out to him.
Yes.
Because that's an
Yeah.
important
So I'm
step.
just waiting for him to email me back.
Yeah, so that's an important step for anybody listening that wants to buy policies. There's a couple things I want to talk about. You said, you thought it was great to buy the policy and educate yourself. Perfect order of things, rather than putting money directly into a asset class that you're unfamiliar with, like rental properties. Just start a policy and educate yourself on terminology. How does income work? How do tenants work? What are the laws involved? You had I don't want to say a squatter, but somebody you had to, kick out. So learning the process before you dive in, and then if you have the cash, just get the policy started, because that'll start growing for the rest of your life. And the sooner you can start it, the more you're going to have later on. And then it was like everything fell into place with timing.
Mm-hmm.
I love it, man. Well, anything else on the that I'm forgetting?
I don't necessarily think so. I think the only thing that we talked about the other day is we wanted to. My wife wants to get a policy started for her, and I think we already have her on a term life insurance. Now, is there an option to like if we were to convert that to a whole life policy? Is there an option to still kind of get the benefits of the over the overpaying
Yeah.
during that first 12 months of the policy?
Yeah.
Do you still get that?
Yeah. So you have term insurance in force and you want to convert it to whole life, which will give you the cash value. And depending on how much death benefit, you might be limited there, limited by how much you can throw in. Um, if you don't want to go through the underwriting process again. So if we just said, hey, look, we got $1 million of term insurance, I'll run the illustration and say, here's how much you can put in. And then you tell me, I want to do more or I want to do less. If you want to do more, then they might have to go through underwriting just to prove health. But if you're good with the number, it's like the insured doesn't even have to go prove health again. I order, issue, and pay documents, and we get signatures from you guys. We just design the policy. The term policy goes away. It's gone. And now your death benefit is under the whole life policy that has a completely different policy number and structure for the cash value. So it's great. So
Okay.
for people that love, if anybody's listening to this and they love the idea, they don't know where to get started, go through underwriting, reach out, click the links below and in the description, set up a time to find out if you can get a policy. Get a policy started. Start it with term insurance. Just get the death benefit in place. You go through the financial blueprint. You learn more about how the policies work. You can convert the term insurance at any time that the term insurance is in force. So if this is something you want to start now, maybe you want to take care of some bad debt, who knows where you're at, but you get the term started 6 months later. All right, I'm ready to convert that into whole life. Perfect. No medical, no timing that we have to wait for, no underwriting. It's real easy.
Awesome.
So I'll have my team reach out and get some stuff on Megs to see if we if that policy has a death benefit high enough to do what you want to do. But yeah, we can convert it. And then, the idea too is that you think about when you pay for car insurance. You constantly pay for car insurance. Do you ever get anything back? No. It's a cost. It's 100% cost, and it covers you in the event of something bad. Term insurance is really good. I own term insurance because I want a bunch of death benefits, but it's a cost. And when we convert to whole life, now all of a sudden I can see equity inside that. So it's not necessarily a cost anymore. It's actually building value. So cool, man. Well, we'll get that started. And congratulations again, man. I love watching all the success that you guys have created, especially with the kids. We still got to get our kids together. Can't believe I haven't seen you much in the last few years. Life is crazy when you start having these little things, huh?
Yeah, man. You've been making big boy moves. I love it.
Yeah, right. All right, Jay, great having you here, buddy. I'll talk to you soon, all right?
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.